Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a few days since I posted a video because I've been away. I took my family out on a road trip. Like I said, wearing my beautiful solar tuna. We had a blast. We had a blast. Well, in the coastal city, beautiful, absolutely fantastic landscape in Western Victoria, Australia. If you ever, guys, if you're local subscribers, you know what I'm talking about, right? Great Ocean Road, wonderful, some of the most beautiful views you're gonna ever get in terms of coastal line. If you're overseas, if you ever come down to Australia, send me a message. I'm gonna give you my 2 cents of where to travel, at least in my sort of in the Victoria side of things. Okay, guys. Now, with that out of the way, I just want to say a massive shout out. Thank you for all my subscribers, everyone who view my channel. I thank you from the bottom of my heart because this is about love. This is about passion. This is about recording the journey that we're on. Whether that we're buying, a $200 watch, or we're buying a 500, 1,000, or we're buying a 10,000, we're buying the ultimate watch. It doesn't matter what watch it is. The price, the material objects, it's just on the surface. It's just about the love that we have within ourselves and how we express them, to our fellow collectors and watch hobbyists. Okay, so with that out of the way again, today I'm very excited. As you can see, my voice, as you can hear, my voice is absolutely thrilled. I'm thrilled to have this. I've recorded a video, I think about a week ago, about my decision back then, hunting down and buying an opportunity, of course, that depending on what do I get. But it's got to be a Seiko Monster. I love that design now. Look, love is not about something that always you have a love at the first sight. Like I talked about before, when I first looked at the title, the Seiko turtle shaped, I disliked it. I think it was just pure ugly, right? But you know what? I fell in love with it. When I first looked at the Samurai, it looked huge. I didn't quite like it. But you know what? I'm a proud owner of Seiko Samurai. And when I look at the tuna at the first glance, even when I had the turtle and Samurai, I say I'll never touch a tuna. They just seem too large, too unnecessarily overly designed watches. But you know what? I'm a tuna fanatics now, right? So when it comes to Monster, the same story goes again. When I first look at the Monster, I goes kind of saying this Monster shape has got to be for someone that just likes Seiko like no one before, right? But then I realized there's an absolute cult following behind the Monster shapes and designs, and there's more than 20 years of history of the Seiko Monster line itself. I looked into it. I then discovered there are 4 generations, which is the current one on sale. I think it's the 4th generation of monsters. Then I trace back. Now, if I'm gonna buy one monster, like I talked about in the previous video, if you haven't checked that out, please go check it out. But when I'm gonna make my first decision on which monster I'm gonna get, if I can only choose one, I decided to set on one of the Gen 2 version. I'm gonna show you guys why. So I bought this watch literally at the time of making that video. There was one popping up from a local. I think if you guys in US, it's very similar to your Craigslist. We call them Gumtree in Australia. So there's a particular collector in Queensland, in Cairns. He was selling. He is a collector. I'm just telling you guys out. He's a wonderful human being, great seller. Presence on the not only on the Gumtree platform but also in the Facebook forums when it comes to Seiko and Seiko Passion, Seiko watches. I found his name. He's got great reputation. So I trust the seller. I trusted the way that he presented his watches, and I pulled the trigger. I'm not going to talk about price in this particular one now because I don't think it's associated with the contents of video of today. I'm just going to share my passion briefly of why I purchased this watch. I'm going to do the unboxing, and of course I'll do a detailed video following in the following days. Okay, guys, thank you so much and for your patience, and let's get this one rolling. Let's get this one rolling, guys. Just in case I haven't talked about the Seiko models, this one is the SRP455. I think it was released about 10, 11 years ago as to celebrate the 100 years of Seiko watchmaking. There was a bunch of other few watches that released as well. I think a Tuna, a Landmaster, if I'm correct, and the Monster, which is this, the 455. Without me talking too much about it, I do believe the watch is fully equipped with all necessary tags and any paperwork that was required. So that's the way that I think I want to buy my watches. I definitely want to buy, especially with those collectible watches. In my eyes, it just worth a lot more if you can collect the whole lot, right? If you can, especially if you find a collector that has genuinely carried the watch for the last decade, it just adds so much in my eyes, so much story and memory every time when you're picking your one up. And you know, if you're gonna look after it, one day if you're gonna part with it, the next buyer will certainly appreciate that as well. So original box, you can see Seiko Superior limited edition. Okay, guys, you think it is funky, you think this is out of ordinary in terms of what Seiko's doing now. This is how they've done about, you know, more than 10 years ago. And again, because it is a monster. Because it is a monster. If it was tuna, I like that tuna as well. I actually had a look at it, a slightly different model name, but the 455 monster, this is just capture my attention. Especially, it's about, not just about you buying the watch, because if you, guys, seriously, if just eBay, the SRP455, you're gonna find one, maybe two. And they are asking for, look, just check it out. They're asking for a ridiculous amount of money, like 1,500, 2,000 bucks. Okay, so guys, so thank you so much for this seller. I appreciate you. We've got the manual, of course, back more than 10 years ago. Seiko was still printing manual. We've got the warranty. Wow, even the warranty card, guys. Of course, this is unfilled. I assume I know he's not the original owner, but you can tell, even though this watch has passed on a couple hands, but everything is still intact. We've got, just let me have a look, make sure this doesn't contain any personal information before I show you guys briefly what's on the paper. Okay, beautiful. This, guys, I've never looked at this before. I bought a dozen watches from secondhand. Look, this is how you want to do it. Memory. So he bought this from the previous owner. I'm assuming it's US. Internationally, paid for international shipping. So just want to concentrate here. He paid for international shipping in 2016, so that's about 6 years ago. From a trustworthy seller with this watch at 420 bucks, plus the shipping, plus you're looking about, plus the GST. If you were paying at that time, if you're not paying, probably 450 bucks, right? So you know what, he made a bit of money out of this watch after owning it for 6 years. Of course, granted, credit to him, he looked after this watch like it's like his baby, right? He made his money, not a lot of money, but again, thank you again. This doesn't change a thing. Thank you again for keeping all the records. This is gonna all stay with the watch, and of course, if any time I'll part with this watch, I doubt it will come anytime soon. This will go to the next seller. This will go to the next buyer. So reference number SRP455. If you guys had a briefly look on the internet, I think there's no confirmed number by Seiko. It is the limited version, but there's no specified number on the case back. They only made 1,000 pieces of this particular watch. So from a supply and demand perspective, absolutely top end for the back. I want to give credit to my favorite, my mentor, even though I never met him before, Random Rob. He did a video of this 6 years ago. At the time, he only had 300 subscribers. He just cost 300 subscribers. He did a video of this watch. Of course, as you guys know, he's a massive fan, specifically when it comes to the Monster. He referenced these watches a couple times on a couple other watches. In quote, he said, if you got 500 to 600 thereabouts of budget, if you want to pick up one limited edition, because of course due to supply demand of Seiko Monsters, you want to get this one. And okay, so thank you, Random Rob, for giving the inspiration of pulling the trigger. Thank you for the seller for giving me such a great condition. I cannot ask him for anything better in terms of accessories. Now let's look at the watch. So thank you guys all. Without you guys, this wouldn't have happened at all. So nicely packaged. So this is the original box. This is actually coming in the original box. Wow. So you can see when you're dealing with someone that has integrity, that has love, everything's packed up. I just make sure I cut it correctly. Don't cut into the bracelet. Everything they do, they're doing it for the sake of the love. They're not doing it because they're packing something to sell for profit or whatever that is. They are doing it because they want to make sure every moment that this piece spent on their wrist and their time, that this piece is wildly deserved and looked after. Almost there, guys. There you go. I was very careful. Wow. Even look at it, guys. Even the so this, look, I've sold a couple watches, of course, right? I've never done this. So this just shows love. If this is not love, then how can you define love when it comes to material? This watch is leaving you. Imagine this watch was leaving him. He had time with it. 7 years. He looked at it every day, probably wearing his large rotation. He sold it for a slightly profit, nothing really to, worth mentioning. He sold it to a buyer. Granted, someone can pay a whole lot more than that on eBay, right? I bought a local on Gumtree, as I said, similar to your Craigslist. And look at the love that is involved just in the packaging alone before this watch was leaving in your hands. So thank you again, and cannot describe. You know what? This just gives me peace of mind. This just gives me peace of mind that I know the watch. Because I know the person, right? When you're buying something, you don't buying for the sake of that thing, but really the seller, because it's about the time the thing they spent with the seller. Everything was wow, guys. Sorry, guys, because there's no additional bracelet. I just wanna. Okay, good, because I just want to check out whether the bracelet fit. Because there's one thing that I forgot to ask him is. So today I'm wearing the beautiful. I just love the openness, right? I just want to make sure the bracelet actually fits my sort of 6.87 inches. Oh, it's got full links, right? It's probably not full links, but definitely enough. Oh my God! So this is the monster bracelet. I thought it was 22 millimeters width, but it's actually 20. I'm gonna use this potentially. Sorry, excuse me, guys. Sorry, I wasn't focusing here. I'm gonna use this bracelet on another watch, but guys, today just unboxing, right? Wow, guys, listen. I'm new to the hobby. I collect Seikos. I love the brand. I love the heritage. I love how people work in the brand, develop the brand, and how they carry on their businesses. Of course, no brand is perfect, but guys, if you're on the fence about a monster, look, guys, just look. Google Monster Complete Guide, done by I forgot the owner of that webpage. I think Seiko guy, Alexandra. I could be wrong, guys, but my purpose is, guys, look into it. There are 4 generations of monsters. Of course, each carriage is limited edition and special editions. Look into it. This is generation 2. There are 4 generations. If you look, just set your heart on one generation and buy it. If you guys still with me on this video, guys, I'm not joking. Random Rob, this is way back 7-6 years ago. Of course, the cult following shorty probably didn't start with the Gen 1, but certainly started accumulating on the Gen 2. Now I see why. Guys, I truly see why. Those watches are so underappreciated and undervalued at the time. It's just amazing. The size of it, guys, this watch has a character. When you look at this watch, you see that's the thing, right? When our watch hobby is competing, of course I need to look into it. But Turtle, of course, 62 mass, we know that was recorded based on the official documents and how they name their series. But others, we'll talk about Seiko, Samurais, Tunas, Monsters. Seiko didn't give those names to their line of products, right? Who did? We did. The watch hobbyists did. Why we do that is because after the hobbyists acquiring the piece, we found the design cues and intentions without exchanging with words with the designers, and of course we call them the brands, right? They made the product and we gave their names. So there was a communication, exchange of feelings and words and enthusiasm just by handling their products. This is a monster. The monster is not caring about what others think. The monster is going to go on their own business because they believe this is the best way to present themselves. So well done, Generation 2, SRP455, guys. Put this into your search. Google it, eBay it, local forum, Craigslist, your local pawn shop. I don't care where you look into it. I'm going to give you guys the price. I paid this for about $550, inclusive of shipping. All right, so again, he made about $100, which is nothing. If you can get this at my price, $550, knowing what Seikos are currently selling, their current monsters about $400 or $450. Guys, I had to look at that Generation 4 monsters in the retail shop a couple of times, but man, the color, the indices, that shark tease. I'm going to turn the bezel now. Wow. It's interesting. Sorry, excuse me, guys. It's interesting how knowing Seiko has absolutely mastered their bezel their bezel movements in action 11, 12 years ago, that they can still stuff it up today. It's just buttery smooth. This bezel is probably the top three bezel I've ever had, right? And just for your mind, right? Just for your information, I've currently only owned multiple pieces. All the SRP, not SRP, all the SRPs. I own the SRP 017, the 03. Of course, this one doesn't have a bezel, so excuse me, guys. But I own the SPB147. I own the Marine Master 043, the MM300, SPBN Tuna 300. This bezel, I'm just gonna do it again. This bezel is nothing less than the others. Buttery smooth. Hopefully it's audible enough for you guys to hear on the other side. Absolutely spot on, like perfect. Indices, everything perfect. Sorry, I just got a bit of dust here. I just want to make sure it's actually, yeah, it's actually just a dust, guys. Sorry. Absolutely beautiful. The solid claim, the watch is, look, guys, if a watch like this presents you in your hands after 12 years of ownership between human hands, one family to another, a bloke to another, that just tells you the memory of this watch belongs to watch hobbyists. I'm going to do the same thing. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Again, thank you, Random Rob, for your inspiration of your video 6 years ago. Without that video, I probably wouldn't be able to pull the trigger because there's a limited amount of videos online about this, the Superior Blue Monster. And thank you for the seller. Thank you for everything, of giving me the opportunity, found me, and giving me this opportunity to own this watch. And I will do the same thing to you. Don't worry, Monster. You're in good hands, and we're going to have a lot of fun. All right, guys? Thank you so much for watching, and I have no doubt that I'll see you again shortly. Bye-bye, guys.